First, our top story this morning, there's a significant development in the search for Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today's Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. Thanks for joining us. I'm Corey Rose.
And I'm Drew Carney. According to NBC News, authorities detained a person for questioning, but that person has already been released. 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon joins us live here with more on the developments in this case. Good morning, Courtney.
Yeah, good morning, Corey and Drew. The FBI released security photos and video of a potential subject in the investigation, according to NBC. Take a look. 4 images show a person wearing gloves and a mask and a backpack appearing to tamper with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door the morning she disappeared. FBI Director Kash Patel says the FBI and local law enforcement were able to recover these photos from what they called the back-end data that still had the footage, according to NBC. The FBI says it has not identified any suspects or persons of interest in this case. New this morning, a man who lives at a southern Arizona property that was searched overnight says he was the one questioned by investigators. He says he's innocent.
When they finally told you this had to do with some kidnapping, like what were you thinking?
Like, what the f am I doing here? I didn't do anything, to be honest. Like, I'm innocent.
And you don't even know who the lady is? Do you know who Savannah Guthrie is?
No.
Nothing.
I don't follow the news.
Right.
I don't watch.
You don't watch the Today Show?
No.
So this was a complete shock.
It was.
And that man lives at a home in Rio Rico, Arizona, where law enforcement executed a search warrant yesterday. The town is about an hour south of Tucson, where Guthrie disappeared. It's also very close to the U.S.-Mexico border. This man says he was released from questioning after several hours. The Pima County Sheriff's Office would not confirm his release to NBC. Investigators have not said whether the person brought in for questioning is the same one seen in the doorbell camera video. We still don't know where Nancy is more than 10 days after she disappeared. The law enforcement says there has been a surge in tips ever since the surveillance images were released. Live in the newsroom, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
All right, thank you, Courtney. We also have an update here on a breaking news story we've been following this morning. The FAA is reopening the airspace around El Paso, Texas, just a few hours after saying it would shut down the airspace there for 10 days. The agency initially said the closure was for special security reasons. Now, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says cartel drones got into the airspace and the Defense Department already took action to take out those drones. We don't know how many, if they were carrying anything, or how they were disabled. The FAA says there's no threat to commercial aviation at this point and flights will resume. Here's another headline that we've been following all morning long. We're learning more about the Canadian school shooting that happened yesterday in British Columbia, leaving 10 people dead and more than 24 others hurt. The suspected shooter was also found dead with a self-inflicted injury. This is one of the deadliest shootings in Canada in decades.
Here in Colorado, the weather is going to feel different depending on where you live. This is a live look near the Eisenhower-Johnson Tunnel, where they're expecting snow for the next day or so. Down here in Denver, we could use a little bit of that snow. We're probably going to get temperatures in the 60s instead. Maybe rain tomorrow. But to tell us more, let's get the check of the forecast right now with Katie. Good morning.
Good morning, you guys. This Wednesday, yes, so we're talking more rain for the Denver area, but winter weather making a comeback to Colorado's high country. Great to see. It's been so dry, so mild after starting off with temperatures in the low 70s to start the week. Yesterday it was cooler. Today we're right back to the low 60s. So a little bit of a roller coaster ride we get to go on in the weather department, and introducing the chance for more snow piling up for the high country. This isn't a huge winter storm, but some winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings to tell you about with this system as it rolls through. Right now, relatively quiet. You saw that view from the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels. So we are starting to pick up some snow shower activity, becoming more widespread. Notable accumulations, especially late tonight into early Thursday. And I'll show you the timing coming up. But for the Denver area this morning, it's mostly cloudy skies, dry and colder, 29 degrees, but that's still above average in terms of our overnight lows we see this time in February. We're right now in the 20s, Fort Collins, Greeley getting to 30 degrees in Boulder, relatively mild in the mountains. So it'll be a rain-snow mix first at lower terrain, the valley level, and then more snow later on today and tonight. The metro area, not talking snow. It's going to be dry, highs in the low 60s expected, upper 50s across the plains, 30s and 40s for our mountain towns. But we'll break down these winter weather advisories, this winter storm warnings over our northern mountains. This will be in place until Thursday at 11 a.m. So Brianna, tomorrow morning, we will really see more of that snow impacting the high country. Could see some travel impacts. But how are things right now?
For that morning rush hour traffic. I'm also tracking a couple crashes. So a live look from our CDOT cameras, I-25 at 104th Avenue. So between the North Glen area heading down south is where we're seeing a little bit more traffic volume pick up. Slower on southbound than it is on the northbound lanes. I do want to talk about one crash that I'm tracking for those up taking E470 near I-76. This is what that traffic looks like right now along E470. We are getting reports, according to crews, that there's a crash in that area blocking several lanes. Another crash not far from E470 and I-76 in Brighton, Highway 85 at County Road 6, that right lane partially blocked, and then a crash just west of I-25, or I should say east of I-25. This is all happening at Washington Street, just north of 128th Avenue, so you're going to see some impacts along Washington Street. Keep that in mind if this is part of your morning drive. And then southbound I-25, where I just showed you that CDOT camera, your overall drive should be about 12 minutes.
All right, thanks, Brianna. The Trump administration says it wants to withhold hundreds of millions of dollars in public health and transportation funding from 4 Democrat-led states.
That list includes Colorado. Colorado Health Network is on the list for expected cuts, set to lose $371,000 in grant funding for their HIV prevention work. The program focuses on Latinx and Black communities who are disproportionately impacted by HIV, helping educate and bring testing to the community so they know their status and how to manage it. Daryl Vigil is the CEO at Colorado Health Network. He says if they lose that funding, HIV is likely to go up in Colorado, and with it, putting people's lives at risk.
It's just really unfortunate and unheard of to think that we would be thinking in this way, that, political systems might impact health care for the most vulnerable people that we're serving in this country.
Colorado Health Network says even without the grant, they're going to continue to offer HIV testing and education. Both the governor's office and state health department told 9 News they have not gotten any official notification from the federal government. So at this point, they say they don't know what programs may be at risk.
A Weld County judge has sentenced a woman to 8 years probation for a crash that killed an off-duty deputy. Kayla Carroll pleaded guilty to vehicular homicide and reckless driving. This crash happened on Christmas Eve in 2023. Authorities say Carroll crashed into Joshua Malloy head-on after crossing the center line on Weld County Road 49. He had been a deputy with the Adams County Sheriff's Office for almost 3 years. The Sheriff's Office says he was a husband and father and had previously served in the U.S. Marine Corps.
For the first time, members of Congress were given access to all 3 million Epstein files released by the DOJ without redactions. Many are accusing the department of a lack of transparency. Democrat Jamie Raskin said the Department of Justice is in, quote, cover-up mode, and Republican Tom Massey went even further.
What I saw that bothered me were the names of at least 6 men that have been redacted that are likely incriminated by their inclusion in these files.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche responded to that directly. He says that the department is committed to transparency. Meanwhile, House Speaker Mike Johnson also says he's convinced the DOJ is complying with everything that they're required to do. Johnson says there's still a pending report where the DOJ will explain why some of the redactions were actually made.
The Trump administration has tried and failed to indict 6 Democrats in Congress. Among them was Congressman Jason Crow right here in Colorado. This stems from a video that they made telling U.S. service members that they don't have to follow illegal orders. This has been a longstanding policy in the armed services. However, opponents argued this was a veiled attempt to characterize legal orders as illegal ones. President Trump suggested their actions were sedition. At the time, legal experts warned prosecuting them would raise serious First Amendment concerns. In a statement, Crow wrote in part, quote, Americans should be furious that Trump and his goons tried to weaponize our justice system again against his political opponents. His attempts to intimidate and silence us will always fail.